The June 2026 update is drawing to a close, and in 5 days, there are 3 ships that will be leaving sale on the store. I wouldn't call it a sale because all of them are full priced. But the Admiral Schröder, which is, of course, the Tier VIII German secondary cruiser that you see on the screen before you, is available for 25,000 doubloons. So is the Jaeger and the Lazo. Although they cost less, the Jaeger's 17,500 being a Tier 7 premium, Lazo is 12,500 being a Tier 6 premium. So Schroeder at 25,000 doubloons is by far the most expensive, and that, of course, is more than the cost of a AAA game. So I don't know how worth it would be to spend all that money to get Schroeder, but out of the 3 ships that are available for the next 5 days, I'd say Schroeder is the most worth it. This ship is frankly absurd. I think I've made videos to that effect in the past, but I've got a game to show you from my recent Saturday stream that really puts it into perspective. Before we get into the action, I'll show you the commander build, and we are, of course, running a secondary-focused cruiser commander, Azerlane Aegir. If you don't have her, then any German battleship commander with the porcupine skill will work. Aegir's got some stuff going for her, though, being a cruiser commander that the others simply don't. Things like, for example, the base trait reduces incoming damage to cruisers, makes this already tanky ship even tankier. We get a bit of better shell grouping with her base trait as well. Of course, we have the porcupine skill. And then we've got a special skill that I can't even pronounce the name, but incoming projectile damage to your cruiser while aiming the secondary battery guns or firing them or reloading them is reduced by 6%. Secondary battery shell damage for 10 seconds per main battery shot is increased by 14% when you shoot the main battery. And then we've got properly meticulous in the fully packed skill. We just don't have secondary interest, but the Schroeder does not need that because these are probably the best conventional secondaries in the game. Keep that in mind. I know there are people out there who think Michelangelo or Napoli's sap secondaries are absolutely insane, and perhaps those people are right. But these, on the Schroeder, have got to be the best conventional HE slinging secondaries in the entire game. Of course, the very first bit of damage there against the enemy destroyer mostly comes from the main battery guns, and it's not exactly impressive at 693. But the Schroeder is such a ridiculous monstrosity that all you really have to do is drive forward in certain situations like the one you're about to see, and you'll just win the game. The secondaries will do all the work for you. Wargaming on the patch notes Thursday. If you're watching this video, well, it's probably too late by now, but we really need a detailed damage breakdown screen at the end of every battle so we can see how much damage our secondaries did versus the main battery guns or torpedoes or whatever other armament. Of course, Schroeder doesn't have any torpedoes, but its secondaries, well, you don't want to find yourself in the path of those things. Look at this Flandre over here. He's, of course, coated in 32 millimeters of armor. And keep in mind, Schroeder has 2 sets of secondaries. It's got 20 128 millimeter secondaries and 9 150 millimeter secondaries. And of course, these are German, so even the smaller 128 millimeter secondaries pen 32 millimeters. The 150s, of course, pen a little bit more at 38. But Flandre is a Tier 7 French battleship, which means it's got 32mm plating everywhere except for the belt and the turrets, maybe the conning tower as well, I guess. But for all intents and purposes, most of the surface area on this ship that gets hit by our secondaries is going to be penned. And therefore, the Schroeder simply melts the Flandre if the Flandre leaves it alone. And this guy did, for one reason or another. That's 67,000 damage that we've got right now, along with the 19 main battery hits and 204 secondary hits. Well, we've got to assume that the secondaries did the lion's share of damage there. I certainly don't think it was the main battery guns, which at best are just okay. Anyway, this part of the enemy team on the alpha flank has been completely cleared out, so we'll just continue what we've been doing so far, which is simply driving forward. Apparently, Art Musashi has the same idea, except unlike the Schroeder, I don't think that ship is really designed for tanking. And what do we have here but HMS Plymouth, a really powerful Tier VII cruiser, at least in terms of main battery firepower. Few things can compete with the Plymouth at Tier 7 in terms of light cruisers, but the Plymouth is also a very squishy cruiser with not a lot of armor that all of our secondaries can pen. And so, even him, I mean, look at how accurate these things are, and this is without the secondary module active. They're just this accurate with the commander build. And we, again, don't even have the secondary interest skill on here. The only thing we've got specking into secondary accuracy at all is, I suppose, Hipper, Haruna, the porcupine skill. And I think that's it. The secondary module does not give you any extra accuracy. This is just a 3 buffs to it, I suppose. And it's ridiculous. We're already over 350 secondary hits now, I think, 132,000 damage. And there's only 3 ships left in the game. Ibuki out there, main battery guns on target as we avoid the torpedoes from the Plymouth, and main battery guns simply ricochet. The secondaries are the main armament here. Let's see how Art Musashi likes them. Another battleship that is coated in 32 millimeters of plating pretty much, I think, everywhere, except for the Citadel belt armor. And once again, he just gets melted. Every time these secondaries land, practically, they do damage, anywhere from 200 to 1200, and of course they start fires as well. We only have 5 in this game, which is perhaps a little bit of a low roll, but Bismarck, there's our 6th, I suppose. Musashi out of the secondary range. We do have the secondary module active now. It does, I suppose, improve the accuracy, but again, I don't really think you need it. And now we have the secondaries firing at 2 ships, the Ibuki and the Bismarck. And of course, you don't really want to give the Schroeder broadside either. Its main battery guns are fairly large, although they are a little bit unreliable. The Ibuki manages to get away with relatively unscathed HP, at least from the main battery guns, but the secondaries take him out. Close quarters expert, or the skill kill as we like to call it. And we have the high caliber medal to go along with it. In fact, we've got 2 close quarters experts, 2 skill kills in this short little match here, which was a blowout. And normally I like to refrain from showing too many blowouts, but when you just simply drive forward in a cruiser like this and deal 200,000 damage, mostly, I suppose, with your secondaries, well, I think that's worth looking at on YouTube, because it's just a small demonstration of how absurd the secondary power is on this ship. It is, in my opinion, the best conventional secondary ship in the game. I don't think there's anything close. Not even the line of German battle cruisers with the Schlieffen and the Prinz Ruprecht. I don't even think they can compete with it. Of course, you get no rewards whatsoever for dealing damage with secondaries, 1900 XP. Probably if you did get rewarded for secondary damage, we would have been top of the leaderboard there. But no, you're not allowed to have that, probably because there's not a lot of player input when it comes to secondaries. Just drive your ship forward, let the secondaries do the talking, and Schroeder is toxic. So whether you want to spend the 25,000 doubloons, I don't know, but if any of those ships are worth buying before the update ends, it's probably this one. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.